the height of betrayal, but you already know how messy I am. According to rumors, Kirk recently found out about a dubious affair that might destroy everything, and guess who's involved? Yes, Yandy. A scandal so large and untidy that it has Kirk 3 seconds away from really flinging his hands, just when we thought the MC's Kirk candy disaster couldn't be any wilder. We're going to go over everything from the leaked secrets to the backstage threats that led Kirk to decide to risk everything. So grab some popcorn because this tea is too hot to drink carefully. Now, I'm wondering whether this is an industry setup or if Kirk will actually step to Mendeecees over this issue. Most importantly, what is Rashida's reaction to this situation? Locked in because hip-hop enthusiasts and admirers enjoyed this type of drama. Kirk Frost lost it when he found out what had happened between Mendeecees and Yandy, and it wasn't just a small argument either. This isn't just another cheating rumor, it's a full-blown betrayal, friendships falling apart, and a secret so shocking that even the most indifferent reality stars are going crazy. Side-eye scenario, Kirk was out for blood. Rumor has it that Kirk isn't letting the incident go, so M should keep an eye on him. Kirk and Rashida's marriage has endured a lot, from side babies to public humiliation, as everyone who follows hip-hop and love knows. Despite Kirk's best efforts to betray her confidence, Rashida consistently maintains their relationship. Kirk and Mendeecees maintained what could be described as a respectful distance for a long time. They weren't exactly best friends, but they weren't enemies either. They were just two men in the same messy industry who kept their drama apart while traveling in the same messy circles. This time, though, it's not about Kirk making a mistake. Rather, it's about someone deceiving him, and that makes all the difference. We reasoned that when Kirk found out, there was mayhem since it seemed behind the scenes that Mendeecees and Yandy were becoming too close. Since this isn't simply a small misunderstanding, but rather a big scandal that has been boiling beneath the surface for months, let's talk about what exactly set Kirk off before we even talk about his outburst. People first became aware that Mendeecees and Yandy were. Because Yandy and Mendeecees had always had a business dynamic, many initially disregarded the fact that they had spent more time together than usual. She is the type of person who manages her man's affairs, wields influence, and maintains a professional demeanor. But when the gossip starts to circulate, you can be sure that something is amiss and that the topics discussed in these meetings went beyond business. Kirk might not have cared if it had been someone else. Let's be honest, he has cheated in the past and knows how this works. But it wasn't simply a cheating scandal that made Kirk lose his mind. Mendeecees sneaking up on Kirk, getting too near to Yandy, and making actions that made everyone question his commitment were the main causes. The worst problem is that Kirk had proof, not just hearsay, and that's when things go wrong. Startling turn since, according to sources, Kirk witnessed what was happening rather than merely hearing about it. He snapped several photos when I told him. Kirk apparently got hold of some sturdy receipts, text messages, late-night phone conversations, and even some adorable photos of baby Mendeecees and Yandy. When Kirk saw those, he was willing to risk everything. Since Kirk isn't the type to just sit back and let things happen to him, let's stop right here. Sources claim that Kirk, who has always acted without thinking, wasted little time in responding to those communications. He takes offense when he is treated disrespectfully. VCs weren't ready for it when he showed up at M's without warning or a phone call. It was a direct confrontation. Don't you know how these hip-hop and love stars move? Screaming match, but they typically draw the line when it comes to hand throwing. But Kirk was behaving entirely differently. According to witnesses, he was pacing back and forth and shouting threats, demonstrating his thorough knowledge of the situation. Mendeecees was not aware that Kirk had found this, which is the most strange aspect. To make matters worse, Mendeecees allegedly tried to turn. According to the script, Kirk had no reason to be unhappy because he had been involved in cheating scandals throughout his marriage. Kirk wasn't attempting to hear it, so that was a horrible idea. Security had to step in because Kirk was so upset, and he was scared because he realized he was being caught. However, this narrative gets even dirtier than you could have imagined since Kirk Everything altered drastically when this section of the narrative was revealed since, according to further sources, Mies wasn't the only one snooping around. Someone else had also been acting quite amusingly. Things became much messier when Kirk found out, and trust me, he won't be ready for what transpired next. There was another name mentioned in the midst of my obsession with Yandy and Mises. Even though Kirk thought he knew everything, the drama took a turn that nobody could have foreseen since Kendra Kirk was the one making moves in the background as well. The woman who was married to Kendra Kirk's alleged friend, Mies, was not as innocent in all of this as people first thought. Yes, you read properly. Furthermore, this next section will blow your mind and your pearls away if you thought Kirk was upset when he found out what she had been up to. This is going to affect everything, so let's stop right here. Kirk thought he was simply dealing with a minor cheating scandal and a minor scenario involving a sly link between him and Yandy up until this moment. But now that it wasn't just about Yandy, it was much more serious. Consider this. Kendra had been skulking around with Mies behind Hugh's back, and worst of all, Kendra had been lying about it the entire time. Kirk had been out here battling and threatening to lose everything for Rashid's honor because he felt Yandy had done him dirty. There were other betrayals involved, and Kirk saw that he had been tricked when he eventually pieced everything together. The details in this disaster are insane, so break it down. The small hidden affair between Kendra and Am didn't happen overnight, as it turns out. It started with charming, flirty, and cheerful messages, according to sources. But things went out of control and resulted in private hotel bookings, late-night meetings, and business trips that weren't actually about business. The receipts, I tell you, were. We are discussing screen grabs of texts in which Mez expressed his sense of being stranded in his marriage and how Kendra understood him more than Yandy ever could. In addition to admitting that she had always harbored affections for M, Kendra also admitted that she wanted things to have turned out differently and that they ought to have been together sooner rather than later. Now picture Kirk. The final straw was the involvement of his own so-called ally, who had previously believed that he had everything figured out and that only Mesoamericans were acting immorally. At this point, Kirk had had enough of being polite. It was time to expose everyone, not just me, and when I tell you, he went all out. He started making demands and phoning others. Reactions and the love and hip-hop cameras were rolling because this was the epitome of reality TV, as you already know. Let's start by discussing Rashida. Listen, Rashida has helped Kirk through some of the most embarrassing moments in reality TV history, and she has endured a lot. But this time was different because Kirk was the victim, and when Kirk took Rashida down and told her everything, she was too tired to talk, so she just sat there shaking her head without shouting or throwing anything. What Kendra would say, however, was the actual question since, up until this point, she had been behaving naively as if she was stunned by the drama between Yandy and M. But she worried when she realized that her name would also be involved in this mess. And that's where. When Kendra attempted to conceal the truth by claiming that Kirk was making up the receipts and that he was the one after her rather than the other way around, things really took a turn for the worse. Kirk, on the other hand, removed the voice recordings because he didn't believe the evidence. Kirk had audio in addition to messages, so you heard accurately. The recordings of her and the microphones talking about how they were going to sneak around lying to Yandy and keeping everything quiet made Kendra's face go white. Mises and Kendra were caught, and you already know what occurred on the internet after that. There was no way out at this point. There was no talking it out or making up a story. When Yandy learns the whole truth, not just about Mises and Kendra, but about everything, because she did something that no one anticipated, the plot takes its last and most startling turn to date. Social media was flooded with emotions as fans went berserk. Memes that labeled Kendra the biggest liar in LHA history were being made by people who were taking sides. Yandy had been quietly dealing with the drama up until this point. She had heard the whispers and seen the rumors, but she hadn't talked about it. Maybe she didn't want to believe it, or maybe she thought it would go away. But when she found out the whole truth, not just about Mises and Kendra, but about everything, Something inside of her exploded. Believe me when I tell you that you were unprepared for what came next. Kendra's name was all over this disaster, baby, and Yandy decided she was done being quiet when Kirk took out those receipts. Let me tell you though, she didn't walk out like a victim because, rather than wailing and playing the sad wife, Yandy did something that had everyone's mouths dropped. "Oh, you guys want to play games? Cool, let's play," she remarked, flipping the script, and she did. She was the first to divulge his private details. Yes, that is what you heard. Yandy went into full savage mode before I could attempt to modify the tale and before the internet could go crazy with the scandal. On Instagram, Liv stated, "Since everyone wants to talk, let's talk. Since you all want to be messy, let's be messy. You all want to hear the truth? Fine, here it is." Liv was staring straight into the camera. "The internet was shaken and on fire," she added, because Yandy had not only verified the allegations but also exposed every single shady aspect of M's relationship with Kendra and even some unanticipated truths about Kirk. Calmly, she started out by informing everyone that she had been true to M's for years and had stood by him through all of the turmoil, including baby mama stories, jail time, and scandals. Did she get the ultimate betrayal and treachery in return? She then presented voice notes, bank statements, screenshots, and real receipts. She also identified specific names and locations of confidential meetings. Even a side girl that no one had ever heard of was mentioned by her. She removed something for which no one was ready, a recorded phone call, not just any phone call, because it seemed that Andy had brought a PowerPoint presentation. The internet went bananas when Yandy played the call live because, in the recording, he pleaded with the unidentified woman to wait a little while longer, claiming that he was handling things and that he was sick of acting that way. A man named D was on the phone with another woman, but she wasn't Yandy, Kendra, or even one of the other side women. Glanced straight at the camera and said, "Tell me, Mies, what exactly were you pretending about? Because it sounds like you've been living a whole double life." By this time, Yandy's followers were calling for an immediate divorce. Mies's name was trending all over the world, and the memes were getting out of hand. Not to mention that Kirk thought he was the one who revealed Mies, which is another reason he was shaken. However, the way Yandy completely turned everything upside down left him stunned. The conflict between Kirk Frost and M is reminiscent of a Hollywood blockbuster. Listen to this if you thought the previous hip-hop and romantic controversies were wild. The internet is going crazy over this, and it's not just a little disagreement, it's a full-scale conflict. Kirk Frost has been called out, exposed, and dragged through the dirt for his past sins. So let's face it, relationship drama is nothing new to him. But he's the one being played this time, and none of you saw it coming. M just struck the match that would soon put everything on fire, and the betrayal and lies are even more profound. This had been discussed in whispers for weeks. It adds up to things going wrong between Kirk and Kendra. On Instagram, Kirk was behaving like the perfect spouse by posting those cute pictures of the couple as though nothing was wrong. But behind the scenes, Kendra was acting oddly. When Kirk asked her where she was going, she became defensive and was always on her phone. Even some of her closest friends started to give her the side eye. The problem is that M also spotted it. M has had his share of drama with Yandy. Let's be honest, but he's good at identifying falsehoods, and something about Kendra's actions angered him. At that point, the murmur started, first containing rumors, theories, and minor facts, but then M was confronted with some concrete knowledge, which, let's say, he didn't keep to himself since what? He found out that Kendra was engaging in risky behavior, and worse, she was doing it with a person Kirk knew and trusted rather than just any old guy. At a private industry party in Atlanta one evening, with cameras filming high-end beverages being served and everyone being well-known VIP guests, it all came to a head. Kirk walked into the room with a positive attitude, completely oblivious to the fact that his entire world would fall apart in a few short minutes. Everything changed when M saw Kirk. He was already there, posted up in the corner, looking furious. Kirk attempted to remain calm, but he could feel the tension in the room. "Hey, how are you?" But he was not grinning. You really walked out here looking stupid, huh? He wasn't even blinking, and you weren't dapping him up. Kirk tried to brush it off with a small giggle as the room went silent. Man, what are you even discussing? He pulled out his phone as I continued to stare at him. Tell me, Kirk's expression altered at once as he realized that M was more than simply talking. He had receipts. When he pressed play on his phone, Kendra's voice abruptly filled. Kirk went from being erect to looking as though he had seen a ghost. M snatched the phone away from him as he reached for it, but he maintained the same enthusiasm. Kirk was attempting to keep his cool, but you could see the excitement in his eyes as a few people had gathered around by this point and the muttering had started. Kirk, I miss you. Right now, I wish I could be with you. I finally gave him his phone because I could feel the storm brewing within him. Feel free to peruse it. Read it for yourself. Kirk hesitated, but when he did, the text messages, photos, timestamps, and worst of all, that M wasn't even done, made him feel as though his whole body was frozen. That guy she's been sneaking with is closer to you than you think. At that moment, Kirk's whole face changed from amazement to anger to pure rage, and the actual chaos started. As he read the lines over and over again, he could feel his jaw tightening and his blood boiling. Truth was starting to sink in, but his mind was not accepting it. Spent years,